Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Decryption, and I hope you are well. So, I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky lately, and if you don't know what No Man's Sky is, where have you been living under a rock? It's one of the biggest games right now. Well, it's been the biggest game for a while. Apart from the motherload of features it's got, there's one feature in it which has twigged on my mind and done that thing where I want to know how to build it. And to be fair, I have noted this down previously that it's something I want for my game as well, just not as advanced as they have in here. And so if I come and talk to any of these aliens, you'll see that their text will be... Hey, talk to me. Their text will be in completely random gibberish, right? The purple, however, is the words that I've learned. So I don't know what pichet is, but I know what traveller is, carapace is, and... well, carapace is again. I know what those words are, so what it's done is live replaced it in the dialogue. If I speak to them and it says, that's what it is, I can learn the word from them and say, hey, teach me a new word. So if I say I want to learn, I don't know, a word that represents technology, sure. It's now giving me the word for scan. So if I open his dialogue up, if he said the word scan in here, it would live replace the word scan and tell me what it is, so I can understand whatever he's selling or telling me. You can only do it once per alien, so as you can imagine you have to go through a lot of aliens. And, well, my game does actually have multi-raced characters with their own languages. The Elven Society, I've been working on their own custom language to put into the game. And the point of it is, if you're not part Elvish, you won't understand the language. In a sense, because you'll eventually learn it to understand more about it. It's like a skill you can unlock. So I've been tinkering with it for a few hours and I think we'll give it a go. So let's get started. So as per everything new, I'm going to come and create a new dev map in our fancy new tool, and I'm just going to call it language test, and I'll create the map. Now, one of the key things we need to do here in order to crack this, we need to be able to display it in English, we need to display it in the alien language, or, Elvish in my case, but we also need it displayed in other languages. If you translate your game into German, Japanese, it all works. And this is where it got really quite confusing to do. Because if I write the sentence, hello, my name is Dan, in English, that makes sense. We know what that is. In my Elvish language, I could say, yup, Dan, jargon, whatever my Elvish language is, to make it up. And we've already run into an issue. There is no word for hello, so how do I replace that in there? My name is Dan is not there either. Dan is, and jargon is. What the hell does jargon mean? It could mean my name is. If we look at it in a real language, just to prove that I'm not completely crazy, and I'm just going to use Google Translate for this, put it in hello, my name is Dan, and we'll translate it to German. Hello, my name is Dan. I could have guessed that. So you can see, they're already very different. You can ignore the comma because that's a grammar thing. So how do we translate and block out words, but also make it work for all other languages? Because, for example, if the Elvish don't have a word for, I don't know, hello, for some reason, are you going to just unlock a random word, or how does that bit work? So this is the key part I've been looking at. And the best way I can come up with it, without knowing exactly how No Man's Sky's done it, but my take on it, if you wish, is we break words into segments, something that has to exist in every language. So if we look at this, they're saying hello, so that's an action. The gesture is my name is, so they're describing something, and the final thing is Dan. So we know some of them have to exist in the language, otherwise it's not going to portray correctly. If you just go Dan and scream Dan, they're not going to understand what you're on about. It's not Gary from Fallout 3.
Gary!
We need the full descriptions to it, and not every sentence will have it. So if we take some of these sentences and basically rip out anything that's grammatical, that isn't a descriptor, something that builds the core phrase up. Imagine you're speaking caveman. You need to just say a word or the minimal words to make it work. So I'm going to say hello, name, and Dan. Super basic. If you had to break that down, you could even argue hello isn't there, but a greeting would be a great word to learn. So hello, name Dan. As basic as it could be. You could argue you need to put my, so you say personal name, but some languages don't do that. I believe Japanese doesn't. I don't believe you say in Japanese, my name is Dan, you just say name Dan. And then people know that it's your name because you're not really describing anything else. So they're the super basic words. So if we turn these into tags, not gameplay tags, just a fictional tag, this is greeting, this is action, if you wish, or descriptor, and that's result. But we can't obviously use result in every single language because then this is going to mean a million different things. So we make it a bit more specific. Greeting, we can treat as always hello. You could even argue greeting hello if you really want to. Action, we will just say underscore name, and then result equals, or Dan, essentially. You could even get rid of the word Dan because it's as much as it's a name, names don't always translate across. So the plan is we write our text in English and German using the Unreal's localization tool, but then somewhere we specify what these tags mean specifically. So for this line, hello, my name is Dan, it will be greeting, action, name, and result Dan, essentially. Meaning this grammatical part here, we can actually remove for the alien's sake, and we just say greeting, action, name, result Dan, and we state what they are. So it will be hello or yup or hello. And then action name would be name, jargon, name again. Something like that, right? And then if we have no words unlocked in Unreal, so we don't know anything to do with this sentence, we just show it all in Elvish, or my fictional version. I'm not going to say Elvish, the Lord of the Rings fans will come for me. So yup, Dan, jargon. But if we get the English text first, this is the grand plan. Hello, my name is Dan. And we loop over it based on our tags list and say, hey, this is a greeting, hey, this is the action name, hey, this is the result. And we search if the players unlocked those words, and we replace it in Unreal before we display it to the user. So if we replace this with hello, greeting, name, action name, Dan, result, Dan, that's how it will essentially build it up. But then we know that they've unlocked the word greeting, so we can put hello because they know what that means, but they haven't unlocked action name, so we will put that as the Elvish version, which will be jargon, and the result Dan, they haven't unlocked either, so we will apparently just put Dan again. So hello, mine jargon is Dan. So the player, because they've discovered that word, can roughly figure it out, and we know that they have. If the player's unlocked all the words, then we can just put the full word hello, my name is Dan, because they now understand how to translate it. For some languages, like German, hello, my name is Dan, you can pretty much figure it out if you're an English speaker. If we convert it to, say, Japanese, good luck, because they do have their katakana, hiragana symbols, so we can't translate that. But we can still do the exact same logic. We just need to, understand that language to be able to do it, but that's something for you to sort out later with your translators. But essentially, greeting, if we look at what hello is in Japanese characters, because I don't have it on me, it's konnichiwa, I know that, but that's the Japanese characters. We know we can take that and replace that right there with the greeting. So if they've understood it, we can replace it with that so the Japanese people can understand it. If they haven't, we can put yup because they haven't got it. So that's essentially what it is. We look at our sentence, we break it down into its segments that we can translate, because we don't want to translate every single word, because every single word isn't worldwide. And then we fill in the gaps with your localization. Here are the steps again. So we come in and pick our dialogue, hello, my name is Dan. We translate that automatically in Unreal like you normally would. So I've got the German version, we'll say. We break that up into our segments, so greeting, action name, result, Dan. And then we replace any words we've unlocked, and it will give us whatever we've got. That is the plan. If it sounds confusing, welcome to the last few hours I've been trying to figure it out. But it does make sense. So before we carry on, those of you who are now sat thinking, why can't we just translate it in Unreal as normal and flip it over, essentially replacing word for word? If we open a new tab and put, hello, my name is Dan, and put the Japanese version, you can't, even if we get rid of the comma and put the space in, how do you know which word matches up to what? We could say, oh, that's clearly hello, okay. What about all of this? Because my name isn't going to be in there. Name is, I think it's Namiwa or something, might be, I think it's there. So it looks like that part is my name is, but it's actually name is, and then that will be Dan. but that doesn't translate across. So that's why you can't do it, because not all languages are like for like. In here, my is missing. And there's like, I don't know, like hundreds of languages in the world. I don't know how many Unreal supports, but I hope that makes sense that you can't just outright move it across. So what we do is we only let our translation tool deal with the content side of it, the main points of the language, and then we just let the actual language deal with the grammatical side. It's like the best of both worlds. So I hope that makes sense. So let's give it a go then and see how it works. So what I'm going to do in here is just set up something dead basic where I can come up to something and look at it, activate it, and it shows some text on the screen. And from there, we translate that if we have understood it or not. So super basically, I'm just going to create a blueprint class. I'll just do a trigger box, and I'll call it TB language UI. And I'll drop this into the world like so, and I'll open this one up. I'll probably just set this a little bit bigger just so we can get to it nice and easily. There we go. And I'm going to come and add just something in the middle just so we know that we're actually going to hit it. So I'll just add a cube, just like that, look. And now you can see we've got a little language box. We can move it up. And when I walk up to it, we'll activate the UI. I'll probably even make the collision a little bit bigger, like so. I'll add a overlap to this using the brand new player overlap feature we added in the last video. Player pawn overlap. If you've not seen that, give it a watch. It's an interesting discovery we made. So we don't need to cast this to the player or anything. If you haven't watched that video, just make sure it's only equal to the player pawn. But now what I can do is just drag off of this and do create widget. And I'm not going to worry about any fancy common UI or anything like that. We're just going to straight put a widget in. So for now, I'll just come to my UI folder for testing. I'll create a new user interface, widget blueprint, user widget, WB underscore translation UI. And I'll open that one up. We'll set it in here. And we'll just do add to viewport. Literally nothing mega, just something super basic like that. And we can test it to make sure it's working. So I'll just come and add a canvas panel into here, add some text to the top saying something like, you found a book. And I'll center align it at the top and just move it down by 100. And I'll probably set its font to something, just something we can see, like I say, super basic like that. So that means if I start the game, we have lost a cube. What the hell? And just make sure that your trigger isn't set to actor hidden in game, otherwise you're not going to see it and spend a few minutes trying to figure out what's wrong with it. There we go. So we run up and you will see it's Bonza UI. You found a book. Super, super simple. That's what we need. Because the point of this isn't to set up a full UI, it's just to actually get it working. So what I'll do back on our UI then, just add a background blur underneath the canvas panel, just in the center, and we'll spread it out. I'll make it full width and I'll just probably offset it by 200 each one. I'll set the blur strength to probably 1. Like I say, it's literally just so we can put something in the middle and see it. Set the blur strength to 10, run in, boom, there you go. So I'm going to come and add some more text to it. And we'll drop it just under the canvas panel there. Like I said, I'm not going for anything super specific here. This is not game ready. We're focusing on the code for this one. But I'll probably just center align this one and probably just make it bigger, like so. And that's where we're going to put our text. So we'll just say TB book text or something. If we just imagine in a book we're translating. Make sure it's a variable and we can jump back to the graph and start coding it up. So I'm going to get rid of the tick and the pre-construct because we only really need to do this once. So I'll add a variable of books text. And I'm going to specifically make sure this is a type of text. Because if it's not, we can't localize it in Unreal. And I'll make sure it's ticked as expose on spawn and instance editable. Hit compile and save, and this just means when we spawn this UI in here, if we refresh it, we can pass the text in. Meaning I can promote this to a variable, call it books text here. So that means we can have 3 or 4 of these running across, like so, and on each one we can put some text in. So we will say, hello, my name is Dan and I wrote this book. But on this one, we can type something completely different. This book shows you how to take over the world. There we go. Completely different text, and you can tell that it's localizable because it's got this little flag right here saying you can change it. So back on the translation UI, we've now got the book's text, so we could just come straight in and set the text here to our new text, like so, and hit compile and save. And basically, when we play the game, if we run into it, it will show that text. Hello, my name is Dan and I wrote this book. If I stand back and play it again, you'll see this one. This book shows you how to take over the world. So we've essentially wrote a stupidly basic interactive book. Okay. But if we don't understand these languages, then we can't read it in our language. So what do we do? So this is where we start breaking it down by tags. So I'm going to come to my blueprints folder, and I've got a structures folder here just for our structs. I'll create a new folder called languages, and I'll open it up. Inside here, right click, blueprint structure, and I'll just call it s_language tags. I'll open it up. And remember, when I say tags, I don't mean gameplay tags or actor tags, just a fictional tagging of something, a phrase, a word, or something. So don't forget when we create this as a data table, because it's going to be the easiest place to do it, we don't need to specify the first column. We can use that as the tag name. So in here, I'm just going to set it to, so en word for English word. I'm going to set this to word, and I'm going to set it to a text so it is translatable. But I'm also going to add another one of alien word, or you can do anything you want. Elvish word, night word. If you've got multiple in No Man's Sky, you have Gek, you have something that looks like Kroku, and I'm pretty sure there's another one with K. They've got all sorts of different languages. So for me, I'm going to put Elven words. And if you have any other ones, so I, for example, have the Orc word, put whatever you want. These technically don't need to be text. You could set them to strings, because texts are for localizing it. You don't need to localize a word you've made up, essentially. Because Unreal will struggle with that, because you can't add custom language to Unreal, as far as I know. So that's all we need. The word, the Elven word, and the your language words. That's the key thing. Now let's create a data table based on this. So I'll come to my data tables folder. In here, I will do miscellaneous data table, and I'll search for my new S language tags. I'll click OK, dt_language tags. I'll open it up. So in here, we've got the row name, so that will be our tag. So if we look at the first text in here, hello, my name is Dan and I wrote this book. So I'm going to copy that into a notepad just so I can remember it, and then back over to here. So let's break this down then. So I have a greeting, I have a name, I have my actual name, which you could choose to convert if you want to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to say this name is the same in every language in my world, essentially. And I could say wrote, so that'll be like the action, and then book. They're going to be my 4 tags for this one. So I will come into the data table. I'll create a new row name here of greeting. Doesn't have to be capitalized if you don't want to. I don't know why I'm making it capitalized. I just have. The word is the English word for this, or whatever language you develop in. Basically your primary language. So for me, I'm going to put hello. The Elven word is going to be your translated word. Now I don't actually have this language ready yet, so I'm going to type it backwards. Which, you know, that's how it works. And the Orc word, they have no thing, so they'll just say, I don't know, howdy. That's what Orcs say in my world, apparently. There we go. You can set up all of these different ones, so I'll just come through and do name, and this will be name. The Elven's name is, I don't know, backwards aim. Really hard to type backwards, actually. There we go. And then the Orc word, ID. Yeah. Wrote. And then my final one will be book. And it'll be book. It'll be backwards. And then they will say papers. With a Z. Yeah. Papers with a Z. So in here, if you want to translate it for different languages, because that's what you're going to need to do, we can translate the specific word column now using this one here. And we'll do a translation afterwards to test that this all works. But there are our tags that we've built up now. And whilst we could technically loop over all of the words in here, find if they exist in the text we've specified, so hello, my name is this book, that's going to be very inefficient. So it's actually going to be easier and more efficient if we just outright tell it which tags it has. So what I'm going to do back on my box here where I've got my books text, I'm going to add another one of books text tags, and I'm going to set it to a type of name, and I'm going to right click it to turn it to an array and make it instance editable. And what this means is on this cube, we can now add as many rows of this data table as we want. The other option you could do, depending if you want to or not, but I personally think it's a lot more work, is we could actually just come and add a data table row, a row handle like that, make it an array, and you can see as you add to the array, you can specify the data table and the row name. But you have to specify the data table every single time, which will be a bit of a pain in the butt to do. It does make it a bit nicer that you can only specifically select tags that are in there, but then you have to select the data table every single time. So swings and roundabouts, I guess. I'm going to stick to the name one because then I can just loop over it, but you do whatever you want to with that aspect. So for this one, I can come in and say greeting, name, wrote, and book. And those there are the exact row names we've put in here. And if anybody knows any other way to do that, so you don't have to specify the data table every single time, let me know. I think you can do it in C++, but I'm not 100% sure. Now we've got a bunch of tags that build this word up, we can start actually trying to do the replacement. So back on our widget here, let's just pass the greeting tags into it. So I'll say books, text, tags, and it'll be the exact same thing, a name or a data table one, whichever one you've got. And I'll make sure it's an array, instance editable, expose on spawn, and then back on our text box, we can pass it up to it like that. So we can generically reuse this UI. And now we can start looping over the text here, splitting it up and trying to replace the words we need to. So the first thing we want to do is basically split it up and see, have we got any of the words unlocked anyway? Because that's the key thing. So just before we set this, I'm going to move this all the way to the side for now. So now we need to actually see which tags we need to replace in the text. So if we take our books text tags here, we can just come and loop over it. And because this is a name or your data table one, either way, we can check if any of these exist in our unlocked words. So we don't actually have a way of saying we've got unlocked words yet. So what I'm going to do for me is I'm just going to come to my player character, which is not here. For me is my sandbox main. And I'm just going to come in here and I'll just create a basic variable called unlocked words. And I'm going to set this to a name like so. And I'll make it an array just by right-clicking it. And that means we can now specify and add how many words we've unlocked or not unlocked into there. However, if you want your game to be different, so as I said, we've got two languages here. We've got the Elven word and the Orc word. We don't want to learn the Elven word for hello and then instantly know the Orc word. So you can either make two different variables, an Elvish word and a Orc word, so you can have two variables of unlocked words. Or, for speed, we can turn it into a map. So I'm going to turn it into a map by coming and clicking the array and clicking map. So we've now got a name as the main one, but we don't want that. We actually want the language or the race, if you wish. So I'm just going to create a basic enum to handle that. I've already got an enum here, essentially, of all my different races in the game. Basically, right-click, blueprint, enum, if you've got multiple languages, and then add all your languages into here. So I'm going to come here and set this to my E race. And then in the integer one, we now need an array of names, which we can't add to here because of how Unreal does it. So we'll just create a super basic struct instead. So languages, right click, blueprint, struct, s underscore language unlocked words. Open this up, add a variable of word, type name, and make it an array. That's literally all we're going to do with it. And all that means we can do is now set this to our s unlocked words, and it'll be an array essentially. So if you compile and save that, you can see we've got unlocked words. We can add one, say for this is the Elven words. The words we've unlocked are all the ones here. And then I can add another one and say, oh, for my goblins, we can add all their unlocked words there. That's all it's going to do, essentially. Like I say, you can have two variables. You can do them that way. Do anything you want. For now, my character's unlocked no words. So I'll hit compile and save. Back on our widget, we need to get a list of all the unlocked words we've got. So I'm just going to do get player controller. Temporarily we'll cast sandbox main, but in the real environment I'll set an interface up to get it just so we don't have to cast and make more references. And I can get unlocked words. We can find on here, or just use your correct one, whichever race we need. So I'm going to promote this to a variable and just call it language race. Make it instance editable and expose on spawn, and we'll sort that on the trigger in a bit. And we'll just quickly sort that on the trigger here. So right click, refresh, tell it which language this book is in, and hit that. By default, I'm just going to set it to Elvish because Knighthood and Egyptian is just English for me, in my game at least. And if we now break this struct, we now have an array of unlocked words, essentially. So what I'm going to do, promote this temporarily to a variable, unlocked words. We will clean this up later. And I'm going to put this just before the for each loop, essentially like that. So we come in, we get all of our unlocked words that we've unlocked so we know how to use it, connect it across. And then I'm going to loop straight over the book tags text, and we're going to check how many words we've unlocked. So I'll drag the unlocked words in, I'll say, does it contain our unlocked word here? If it does, then we know we don't need to replace that word. We're all good. However, if it doesn't, that means we don't know what that word is. So from the false, I'm going to do get data table row. And you'll see we need to pass in the row name of the data table. The data table is our language one. And the row name is our one right here. And that should connect straight up. We can break on the out row. And now we've got everything we need. The word, the elven word, and the orc word. So I'm going to drag in the book's text here. I'm going to drag off and convert it to a string so we can split it up. And this should take the localized text and convert it to a string. The only reason we're converting it to a string is we can now do replace. And we're replacing the source string in there from the word, so hello, or whatever language it is, because remember that's translated as well, into whichever language we need. So I'm going to drag back from the 2 and do select string. And the pick A, I'm just going to drag in our language race and plug it in like so. From the 2, I'll just drag backwards and do select, and we want this arrowed funky one here. And you see it wants an index, which will be our E races, or your language, whatever. You can see whatever language it is, it wants the words, so I'll just do Elven and Orc, like so. And now you'll notice one thing we need to fix is we need to actually store this variable, but then we need to keep it so when we loop over every other word, it also fixes it. So what I'm going to do, after we've stored our unlocked words, I'm going to come and promote the book text convert to a string, to a variable of a string, convert translated book text. So remember, this is all in your native language, so you understand what this is. Then back over here, instead of the book text, we'll just put the translated book text in, like so. And then we will outright set it back to the replace there on the row found, like so. Let's clean this up a little bit, like so. There we go. Once this replaces it and sets itself back there, it will come back to our for loop and go over the next tag. Have you unlocked it? Yes. Don't touch it. It's completely fine. No. Replace it here like so. So in theory, we have a very rough working example. So I can come and get this text here on the completed, plug it in, and instead of book text, I'm going to grab the translated book text and just drag it into there and let it convert it over like so. So if we try it now, it should convert most of the words over to the ones we don't understand. Hello, I am Daniel, I wrote this book. Okay, good. It looks like it's translated it correctly for us, which is great. But if we cheat it and say, oh, hey, the player actually knows a couple of these words. So we'll come to Unlocked Worlds and say, for the Elven, I will say they understand greeting, because we've learnt the word, essentially, and we click play. If we run over now, remember, it said L-O-H a minute ago. It now says hello, because it's a word you understand. How cool is that? That is so cool. In the game, they do highlighting. We will look at highlighting in a minute, because I think that's kind of cool. But there's one key thing we're missing at the moment, and that's that you can still understand what it's saying. So if I get rid of unlocked words, even if I come and change it to be absolutely gibberish, so we'll just say each word I'll just come and set to something completely random for the Elven, just so we've got no chance of understanding it at all. Let's see if we've got a bracket in it. So we've got no chance of understanding this anymore. If I run into it, though, we still have all of our grammar stuff in it. As a good my ojalavava is Dan, and I puggeraba this fegabedaba. You've still got the this, I, and is my. So we need to figure out how to get rid of that. So we almost need to score it up, if you wish. So back on the translation UI, what I'm going to do, if our unlocked words contains it true, we know it's a positive score, right? Because we know what the word is. So I'm going to add a variable here. So I'm going to say translation %, and I'm going to set it to an integer, a single. And every time it's true, I'm just going to drag off and do ++. So increment it by 1, essentially. So remember, this starts at 0, and with ++, it adds 1 for every word. At the very, very end here, I'm going to drag the translation % in and say, is this exactly the same as the unlocked words length? So have we understood every word? If we have, then we don't need to worry about translated book text. We can just outright set it to the standard text because we've understood everything from it. So I can just drag the book text in like so. If we haven't, though, we need to make a choice now. Do we just want to remove the grammar from it until we understand some of it? Do we want to include the grammar at 50%? 25%? Or do we just want to say you don't have the grammar unless you understand everything? It's entirely how you want that part to work. And what I mean by that is, if you remember, we have hello, my name is Dan and I wrote this book, right? That really breaks down to hello, name, Dan. Well, it's not even Dan really, name, wrote, book. That's what it breaks down to. And we've got all this extra grammar stuff in the middle of it. So at what point do you want to understand that? You could say at 0, you only have the pure basic translated alien, that's it. If you've got 50%, or roughly 50%, you could add the grammar in because you think you're kind of getting it. Or you could just say you don't understand the grammar until you know 100%. It's entirely up to you. For me, I kind of like the idea of it has a level. So if you've got 50%-ish of the words, it adds the grammar into it, aid you along. You're still not going to understand it fully. If I come in here and go, hello, you don't understand, so it goes blah, 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 and then you don't understand what wrote is or this book is like that, you're still not going to understand what it is. You know the guy's name's Dan, but you don't really know what else it means, even with the grammar. So for me, that's okay. So if you just want it to put the grammar in, you can just go straight to false like that, right? But if you want to do the percentage like I'm doing, or what I'm planning to do, and you can even switch it up and say 25% do this, 50% do this, take your translation percent that you've got, divide it by however many there are, so the length, and then I'm going to multiply that result by 100, and that will give us a percentage of how many exists. So I'm going to say if that is more than 50, we know 50% of the words in there, we're going to have a really decent understanding of what they're trying to say. So our brain is going to know what's going off, essentially. So I'm going to add a branch here. If it's more than 50%, I'm just going to straight put this one in. It's going to keep the grammar, and it's going to go from there, right? However, if they've got less than 50%, they really don't fully understand what's going off. So I'm going to take the set text down here, and I only want the grammatically generated alien translated words, if you wish. So we don't actually have a way of this text being in total alien only, if you wish. So we need to build that up based on our words. You could technically just build it up in here and have book text, alien text, and then go from there. But we've got all the components to do it up here anyway. So I'm going to do it this way. But we are just going to flip this around a tiny bit. Because at the moment we're saying if you've unlocked the word, you don't need to worry about it, you just keep it in English. But we need to store all of these words so we can remove the grammar parts if we need to. So I'm actually going to come and reorder this. So I'm going to grab this branch and this one up here and just move it over here and move this get table back over here. And we will tidy it up in a moment. This row found will be up here. The row found not found is just if you've put a word that you've not translated properly, essentially. And we'll disconnect the false. The false is going to go over here to the set text right there. But the reason we've done it this way is we can now drag this across a bunch, and whether or not you've unlocked the word, just connect that to there, we can now store these tags here for whatever language you're in, because we can already store it right here. So I'm going to come and copy the translated book text to untranslated book text, and then after the row found here, I'm going to append to it. We're going to add a pin, and in this middle one, I'm just going to press space and click off, right? In the C tag, I'm going to drag this return value up to there, and I'm going to set the untranslated book text. And don't worry, we will clean this up in a moment. It's very, very common for testing code to get this messy. We'll drag this across a bit, like so. So essentially, what we're doing now is we're looping over all the tags this text has, we're finding the actual data table for it, and we're building up this untranslated book text. So we're saying all of the different words for it, depending what race you are. Then we're coming along and saying, have you actually unlocked this word? If you have, increase the translation percent. If you haven't, replace the text outright with this one, right? And then down here, when we've completed all of this, the first one we're saying, if you've 100% of this language, just get the pure English version. You know exactly every single word. You are fluent. You know the dialect like the back of your hand, or otherwise, known as you're fluent. If you only unlocked 50% of it, then for me, I'm going to say you know enough to do the grammar, but you haven't got all the words unlocked. So the translator book text that we've built up and replaced the odd word with, we're setting the text to. But if you know less than 50%, you do not know the grammatics, you do not know when to say hello, goodbye, or whether you need to be positive or negative, I don't know. we're going to put the untranslated text into it instead, like so. If we start it now, we have got no unlocked words. It should just be entirely in alien with no grammar. We should not understand this text at all. If we unlock 2 of those words, actually, I'm going to change this one from a more than to a more than equal to, and then connect that up. And that just means we can unlock 2 of the words. We'll basically understand the grammar a little bit, so we'll put it in. I know technically that's not how it works. You learn more of the language than you do the grammar. Change that to 75% if you want to, it's up to you. But if we know every single word, we will have the grammar in there. So let's give it a go and see what it looks like now. So I was just about to fix this because I've just tried it and it's wrong. Hey, it's all in English, but we know none of the words. So we need to figure out why it's doing that. And again, debugging is such a big part of games design and programming, so we're going to keep it in so we can do it together. So on the UI here, I think all that logic up there is right. I generally don't know what's wrong with it. So I'm going to come to the completed and just press F9 to add a breakpoint. If it does nothing for you, right click, choose add breakpoint or toggle break. And we're going to run it again now. And I'm going to run into it and it's going to freeze the game. Boom. So we can see here, this arrow is where we're looking. I'm going to use my mouse cursor as a probe to see what's happening. So translation percent, 0. So we know nothing of it. Okay, that's good. The length of the unlocked words is 0. Okay. So the unlocked words is 0 for some reason. So 0 and 0, we know everything. That's why it's not working. But why has unlocked words not got anything set into it? It's got nothing set, but it should be set because we set it right there, don't we? I paused it for a minute because I didn't understand why it wasn't working. I completely understand. We're using the wrong variable. The unlocked words is how many words we've unlocked. We've already got how many words we've unlocked in the translation percent. So instead, I'm going to use the book text tags, the correct one, on these 2 there. If you just drag the node on top of it, you'll see it'll say change like that. And that time, now it should check against the tags this book has, and then compare it against how many we know. We don't want to compare unlocked tags here, because it's checking every single word we've unlocked, even ones that we don't need in this example. So let's try it this time. So now when we start it, we should know none of the words. Look at that. What does that mean? We've got no idea. We're reading hieroglyphics at that point. But if I come in and say, hey, we know one of these words for the Elven, we know greeting, and we can hit compile and save. So if we play it now and run up, even though we've unlocked the greeting word, you'll see it's still not properly unlocked it. And that is due to the way we've ordered the code here. We're coming in and saying, if you know the word, you don't need to translate it, just say we have done it, right? But because we only have 25%, our code down here is saying, hey, just use the untranslated version. They don't know any of these words, which is not correct for what we need. Because we still need it to tell us what our specific words are, whether the grammar's there or not. So the issue is, we are actually just adding the untranslated text non-stop. So what I'm going to do is drag this contains all the way back to the beginning, just at the beginning of the for each loop. And I'm going to promote this to a variable saying has unlocked word. And we'll connect this up to there and across to the set here. And instead of just outright plugging this into C here, I'm going to drag backwards and do select, and we want the custom arrow one. And we'll add in the has unlocked word. And we will tidy this up. If they have unlocked the word, then we just need the English word of it, because we already know what it is. So I'm just going to drag the word into the true there, like so, because we know what it is. If it's false, we haven't unlocked it, then we can plug the return in like so. And then just make sure on the condition here, just for performance, we'll use the cached variable like so. And we'll come and delete the word off so we can test fresh again, and we'll try it this time. So we come in, we can say it's all gibberish, that's good. We can come and add the custom word again. We can add the custom word again, and we'll try it this time. And you should see, when we run up, we should see the first word populated. There we go. Hello, okay, we still don't know what that means. We need to unlock more words. So let's go and unlock another one. So I'll just click add down here and say we know what book is. Compile and save. We can run it again. We can run up and say, oh, so that's a book. Okay, so it's hello and it's something to do with a book. Okay. But we're learning more about the language now. We're understanding what's going off. And I've completely forgot what word. So we will add name into it. Name. And we can hit compile and save. And now we've hit over 75%. So we're understanding this word, this language a bit more. So now it's added. And you'll see it's not added the grammar into it. And this is due to a programming thing of floating points and integers. we're using integers to drive our translation percent, which, in all intents and purposes, is the correct thing we want. This is dividing to an integer. So if we get a calculator here, and we know our book tags is 4, and we know the translation percent is 3, so if I do 3 divided by 4, we get 0.75. And because we're an integer, it can't do that. So it basically removes it and sets it to 0. So that's why we can't see it. So what I'm going to do is right-click this pin here on the divide by and do 2 floating point. You can do double or single, it's up to you. And then I'm going to remove this multiply and also do it again, so it's doing it correctly. And now we can plug that in, like so. You can even do this more than equal to as well, to stop some less conversions going off. So now this time what we're saying is don't remove the divide by, keep it properly with the floating point. We know the others have worked, we can run in and we can run this, so you can see now it's added the grammar. We still can't understand every word in it. Hello, my name is Dan, and I blah 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 this book. Well, we don't know what blah 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 is. So we're going to run around, we'll talk to some more aliens, and I figure out what the last tag is, wrote. So we can come to our sandbox and add the last one of wrote. And we can hit compile and save, and we can play the game, and we can run up. Hello, my name is Dan, and I wrote this book. There we go. We've officially unlocked all the words to understand it, just like No Man's Sky. How cool is that? And just for a test, if we come over to this one and build up our tags in here, so what do we want? So we've got book, show. You just basically pick words, essentially. You could do all of them, but it'll take forever to understand it. Take over and world. So we've only unlocked book there, and this is a key part of what we've done now. So if we run up, we haven't actually defined show, takeover, or the other one yet. So it just says book, because it doesn't really know what to do. And the reason it's doing that is up here, this row not found is doing nothing, because we've specified a tag that doesn't exist. Whether you want it to do something different is up to you. I'd argue that's actually an error. So I'm going to come down here and write a print string and say error tag not defined. You could, of course, append it and put the proper tag in. But you'll see if we try it this time, we run up, it'll actually print out 3 times. There you go. Tag, tag, tag not found. Okay. So let's build those tags up, essentially. In our data table, and let's remember what the words are. Show, takeover, and world. So in here, we can do show, takeover, and world. And yes, if you do this for your entire dialogue in your game, it's going to take some time. You could write an editor script or a C++ script to try and automate it, but that's where you have to start getting into language processing to figure out which words to break up. Way out of scope for this tutorial. So show, elven word can be and the alt word can be C. Takeover. And yes, you can put spaces in between it. You can put whole phrases in there if you want to. So I'll do destroy all of it for the orc, and we'll show you that in a moment. World, that round thing. There we go. So now if we try it this time, it knows what all the words are. It can build it up properly as intended. It's not going to error anymore. There you go. Book, blah, 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 blah. We don't know what it means. If I come back to my character and say, hey, they've unlocked a new word, they know what a world is. Hit compile, run it, play it this time. There we go. This book, on how to the world. What are they? Is it save? Is it bring alive? Duplicate? We don't know. Let's unlock another word. Take over. And we know it's going to work, so I'll just do another one as well. Try and remember what it is. So I'll add show. And we've officially unlocked all of those words. There you go. This book shows you how to take over the world. Perfect. If we come in and change this to goblin, which is my orc essentially, when you run up, we've not unlocked any of the words. Paper C, destroy all of it, that round thing. What does that mean? And just to test it, we can, of course, come in, add a work for the goblin. We'll just stick all these words in for testing. There we go. If we play it now, when we run up, you see, this book shows take over the world in Orcish. There we go. No Man's Sky style translation thing. How cool is that? So this video is getting on a bit long now. So I am going to add on the cleanup of the code at this part. If you're happy with the organisation of this code here, don't be. But we're going to clean it up a little bit, mainly moving it to a function so we can create local variables instead of having all of these active like so. And it means we can clean up a bunch of these lines and make it a bit neater, essentially. More performant. And then we'll go through and testing the localization. It should all work, though. But essentially, I'm going to come and grab all of this over here, all of this as well, and I'm going to just convert every single one of it to a function. And you might think that's a bit much, isn't it? But we have reasons for it. So I collapse it to a function and just call it translate book. And we'll move it all up here. And of course, you can make this do dialogue or anything. So the reason we're keeping this one in a function is we don't really need to store the unlocked words after it's generated the text. We've already done it. If you've got a whole dialogue system, that's different. But in this case, translate it once and we can ignore it. So what I'm going to do is actually convert this unlocked words to a local variable instead. So I'll promote this up here to a local variable called unlocked words 2 for now. And we'll just connect it in between this where it should be. And we can essentially go through and clear all this up. And because it's a local variable, after it gets out of here, it's disappeared. It doesn't understand what it is anymore. It gets rid of it, cleans it up. So everywhere we've used unlocked words, I'm going to replace with unlocked words 2. The translated book text, again, we don't need it outside of this function. So I'm going to promote this to a variable of translated book text 2. And I know I am calling it 2. We'll go through and rename it later. The reason is we can't have two variables named the same thing. So everywhere we've put translated book text, not untranslated, ignore that one. The standard translated one there, the one over here, and the one down here, we can replace. We are, of course, going to go in and do the same for the untranslated one shortly. But we'll do has unlocked word, because again, we only need it to be local to this function. So we'll promote to local variable, has unlocked word. And those of you that are screaming at the computer now saying I should have done this from the start, absolutely I should have. But we didn't, so we're moving on with it. But just come in and replace all the variables. Essentially, every variable we've created, bar the ones we're passing in, we're going to be keeping as local variables because it's just so much easier. Untranslated book text will do the same thing. I'll promote it to a local variable here, untranslated book text, and we'll replace it everywhere we did, and we will shortly also go through and delete the old ones. So everywhere we've used untranslated book text, and it's not number 2, we're going to replace. So that one there, this one down here. And if you think you've got all the variables, you can go through and start deleting them. It'll tell you if you've missed it. So has unlocked word, deleted, untranslated, deleted. Translation percent will move across in a moment. Translated book text, deleted. And because you've deleted them, you can go through and rename your variables to the proper ones, and everything will update accordingly. Small task in cleanup, but it's a lot nicer. Let's do the translation percent because we're still on that one. So I'll just promote that to a local variable called translation percent 2. And then instead of setting it there, we'll delete it and pass it back into it like so. And it's just an easy way to do it. And translation percent we'll do there as well, and here as well, like so. There we go. So we can now come and clean this up a lot, hopefully, and make it a bit more readable because it's a bit crazy. Because we've got local variables now, we can actually do it quite nicely. So I'm going to drag this back and say any of these words we're using or duplicating, I'm going to promote to a variable. So we're using this word in multiple places. So I'll promote it to a local variable, current word. We'll connect it to here, connect this across to this one. And basically, anywhere we're using word now down here, I'm going to replace with current word. So this one, and then this one here. And you'll see it will gradually start to get a lot neater. We're using this replace multiple times, so let's drag this back up here. Promote to a variable, translated word. I'll hold control and just connect that to there, make it a bit easier. And then over here, we want the translated word into here, and we want it over here as well. So you can see it's already got a lot nicer. We can wrap this in some comments to make it all nice and clean. Technically, we're using the length multiple times here, so let's just quickly wrap that in a local variable called books text length, connect it up, and connect it down like so. And now we can just, instead of using this, we can just plug that into there like that, and instead of this one, we can do the exact same here, like that. There we go. And that's it, essentially a lot neater. You can come and wrap it in comments, but there it's a lot neater and a lot more performant. We can delete the other ones we don't want. And hitting compile, you can see it's all done it nicely there. And it's a lot more performant now. It's a lot cleaner to read. We can start it, we can run up. You see it translates it perfectly. If we reset it here, you'll see it does indeed reset back. How cool is that, ladies and gentlemen? So now let's actually test if the localization part works, because that's a key part of the design we've done. So there's really a couple of parts we need to actually translate. The first one is the actual text we're passing into. We need to translate that. We don't need to translate any of the tags because they're very generic. But the next part we need to translate is the actual data table and specifically the word. You could technically translate the Elven and the Orc words if you really want to, but we set them as strings because you kind of don't need to. If it's a language, that's the kind of way it's wrote. So we don't need to do that. So you may already have your localization set up in Unreal, and if you do, great, you're halfway there. But if you don't, you simply come to Tools at the top, and you want this localization dashboard. It's all built into Unreal. And the what you want to do is come down to the Gather from Packages and the Include wildcards, and you basically want to put in everything you want to translate in here. So you can see I've already got kind of one set up, but just click the Add button, click the three dots, and you can find what you want to translate. So specifically for me, I'm going to come and gather the data table section and put it in there. You can see at the moment it's going to do every data table, and I don't specifically want every single one translating. So I'm going to open up my content drawer, and I'm actually going to move it in just into a subfolder. So I'll right click, new folder, languages, and I'm just going to move it inside there. Shouldn't make any difference. And now back on my localization dashboard, I can make sure only that data table is changed for now because that's all I need. And then you can come down and you should just be able to click gather text. If you can't, just add your default language, whatever your primary language is, and then click gather text. And it should take some time as it runs through. And when you run it, after a few moments, it should successfully gather all the text. It may take some time depending on the size of your project. See, I've got 52 words in mine. If I make it more specific, because I had to fix a little thing, click gather text again. It's generally how you do it. You don't tend to want to run it over everything, only specifically aiming at your project where you want to translate things, otherwise you'll be running for hours. And you can now click OK, and we've got 8 words, which is more like what we want. So if you just come and click this little blue button here, Edit Translations, you'll see you can see all your words and then the translation to English, but we're already in English, or at least in this version. So what I'll do is I'll come and click Add a New Language. I was using German for a lot of this, so we will put German in again. And you've got loads of different versions. I don't know, so I'm just going to select Germany like that. Don't tick that box there, it's weirdly placed. If you tick that, it will treat your entire game as German by default, which will mess up a lot of things. Only keep it ticked as whatever you're coding in. But now, if you come and click Gather Text again, it will also check the German version. And if you click OK, and now if you come and click the little blue icon to translate the German version, you can see you've got these tabs up here. If you click Untranslated, it can see all the ones we've not translated yet. So I'm just going to come on over to Google Translate. There we go, I got my Google Translate. And all I'm essentially going to do is basically type the word in, so name, in this case, and we'll translate it to German. If you do actually have a huge game and you want it professionally done, you're going to be better hiring an actual German-speaking person to do it. But you can basically come in, double-click, and type name. That's what I'm going to do for each one. I'm just going to come and type the name in and come and paste it in. So I'm going to jump through this and I'll be back in a moment. There we go. So I've now translated them all, and you saw it was all checking up there. I believe you can also export it and put it back in. So just make sure you save it, and then if you get rid of it, come back down, you can hit the little button near the end, compile translations for this culture. Don't hit the delete this culture, which is really badly placed. You want the compile one. It's going to basically loop over all the translations you've done, add it to some unique Unreal file so you know it's there and it's translated. And then we can tap OK. You can see it should be all done now. So if you click edit this time, you can see it's not in untranslated, it's in the completed section, which is good. And that's essentially all you need to do to translate that part. There are some other places we need to translate, which we'll get to eventually. So the next part we need to translate is the actual text on these boxes. So what I'm going to do is come back to my localization dashboard, add a new row, click the little dots, and I'm going to come and find the actual map I'm using for that case. So it's in my maps, dev maps, and I'm just going to put it right there. And I'll just come and click gather text again, and click OK. You should see your words jump up like so. The German one's also updated now, it was a little bit lagged behind. Come and click edit on the German one, untranslated, and we can see all of the different ones, and I'm just going to come and specifically only translate the ones I need. And the controls are dodgy, unfortunately, but this is why people pay translators, because you can export it out properly. I'll copy that one into Google Translate. Some words that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. There we go. You just have to keep clicking until it lets you in. There we go, and we'll do the last one. like so. Make sure you save, exit out, and just make sure you hit that compile button. It won't work if you hit the compile button. You can also hit the compile text one there if you want to do it for all languages. I just did it for that one specifically, it's a bit quicker. And essentially that's it. It's translated now. It should all work correctly. So what I'm going to do is just jump back to my PC sandbox main dead quick, my player. I'm just going to come and add a really quick debug key, and we'll do 1. I'm going to drag off and just do set current culture, and then you basically just hard code in which culture you want to currently be. Now, just a heads up, it kind of changes the editor at the same time, so you make sure you put a 1 in to take it back to the language you want. And to find the codes, just come over to your localization dashboard and just hover over. So English is EN, German for Germany is DE-DE in capitals. So I'll just say number 1 is EN, DE-DE like so. And once you've done all that, you should be able to just tap play and test it. Now, I will say you very well may get a weird Unreal bug. It seems to be every so often it pops up. It's really annoying. But you'll notice that if I press 2 and my editor's gone to German, but I run in and nothing's changed. Annoyingly, there seems to be a bug in Unreal that they have not fixed for years that you have to run it in standalone version to make localization work. So if you just tap the 3 dots and hit standalone game, it will load up. The first time it'll take a little bit of time to compile all the shaders and everything, but then after that it should load you in fairly quicker than a normal. This is a good reason to use dev maps. When you compile your game properly, this won't be an issue. But you'll see I'm in the game. If I press number 2, I can run up and you'll see it will be in German. It has successfully translated it. But it's not going to be much good if it doesn't translate with all our text, so I'll Alt F4 out. Come to our main sandbox character, unlocked words, and let's just nuke some of these words just to test it. So we'll get rid of book and get rid of wrote. So we should be halfway there. Compile, save. You don't need to regenerate the translations because remember we edit them live. And if we click run this time, since we've translated the data table and all the specific key content words, and we've translated the full sentence, when it switches them over in the localization dashboard, it should replace them correctly. And you'll see, if I press number 2 to go to German, if I run into here, yeah, I'm pretty sure German doesn't have random P's and Q's and F's in there, so that has indeed changed it. If I press number 1, you see it won't change back because we haven't set it up that way. Just a key thing, when you do toString, it is going to remove the localization for this instance. If I run out, and if we had a way to remove it, and I've gone back to English, and if I run back in, you'll see it will successfully do it properly. But it removes the tie-in directly for the localization. And what I mean by that is if we come in and just add another random text block of the same thing, but I'll move it up by, say, 200 or 300 or something. And what I'll do is I'll just straight set this text directly. So I'll do set text, but I'm not going to set it to our translated version. I'm going to set it to the actual text we just straight pass in. That one will update if you change your localization there and then. It's just the toString one. toString creates a brand new text object essentially. It's a string object, but it loses access to the localization. So if you need something that's going to change in real time, you're going to have to find a way to modify text. I know you can do it in C++. I don't know if you can do it in Blueprints, not directly to the level we're doing it. But you'll see if I press F2, run up, it's in German. If I press F1, you see the top one changes because we've not changed that one. It's still got access to it. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is my take on the No Man's Sky language translation thing. It's going to take a bunch of time if you've got huge dialogues to work, but it's really, really cool to do. It's super easy to add in, so you can just basically essentially, let's get rid of that one. You can essentially just take the logic of this here and move it to wherever you want to. Dialogue, a general function, anywhere you need to, really. Unlocking words is as simple as adding it to your unlocked world, so you could add dialogue events to it, you could do abilities if you wanted to grant them. Reading other books gives you that. There's loads of ways you can take it. For me, I'm going to modify this to add this into my several areas, to be fair. I'm probably going to add it into my dialogue, some notes, some books, because that's the type of thing I've got in my game. So I want it when you walk up to an elf, if you don't understand their language, you're not getting in, essentially. The last thing I will mention, because this video is getting really long now and my editor's not going to be happy, is if you want it to just skip all the unlockable words if you are a type of race, so in my case, if you're an elven, you should just understand anything that's elven, you can simply just come right back to the beginning, check the language race if it equals your current race. So for me, it's on my player pawn. But if I were to get my player pawn and say, if you equal the elven, if it's false, go off and do the normal thing. If it's true, you don't need to do any of this. You can bypass every single bit of this and just straight set the text. And then it'll be like you understand the language because you're born and bred that race, essentially. But yes, there we go. If you would like to see me go through and add it to dialogue or add it to other things like that, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll just do it offline, essentially. So let me know what you think. But yes, thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that was cool. It was a little bit flaky at some points when we had to do it, but it worked, and it is so cool to see. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Decryption, and I will see you lovely people next time.